And we're back. It's the A to Z podcast. Zach Jackson, everybody's favorite Panera spokesman, Andre Knott, A to Z podcast.com, Facebook.com/A to Z podcast. Cleveland Scene, Honeymoon Grill, and American Fireworks help make this happen. Thanks to you guys for helping this thing to grow. At Akron Jackson, at Dre Knott on Twitter, on Instagram, on other stuff. I don't know. We're not really that much into other stuff. Anyway, we get here, we talk sports, we talk life. Occasionally we say four-letter words or venture into mature/immature subjects. So if that's not your thing, if there are kids around or if you're in a work environment, we encourage you to put on your earbuds or come back and talk with us at another time. Good morning, Andre. Happy Monday to you.
Happy afternoon, happy evening. Shout out to Panera and the wonderful bread, the macaroni and cheese that my kids love, and the grilled cheese that my son loves, and the great cookies and desserts that they have. What a wonderful company. For all that they do in Northeast Ohio, around the rest of the country, for all of us beautiful people that bleed red.
I can just picture you getting up on a nice fall morning like this, everything cheery in your life, everything great. And as you go on your way to pick up breakfast at Panera, of course, you go by Get Go, where you get some of that outstanding coffee and fill up your gas tank for your Sargent Ford.
Exactly, Sargent Chevy. Actually, I went out to Sargent last week. I'm trying to get them back on board. I don't play, man. My life is a walking commercial.
And just so people know, I'm not lying. If you leave Andre's house and go to the nearest Panera, you drive right by a Get Go. I'm not making that up.
You do. He's not making that up at all. There's a Get Go that's brand new, and then there's a Panera before you get to the highway. And to get to the highway and do all those, I'm in my beautiful Sargent Chevrolet vehicle. I got more than one. I got two, and I got a new one coming. Shout out to them. I know they ain't a part of the team, but I'm bringing them back to the team because that's what we do in 2018. Look, I made it rhyme. Black people do that too. But that's a whole other story, another place. Freddie Kitchens, first time as an offensive coordinator on the big league level. We'll remind everyone about our great event that's coming up as well this weekend. Also got a message yesterday morning. My morning started. I didn't have to do pregame at 10 a.m. With Munch and the boys. And the first message I got was from your least favorite or favorite person, depends on who you are in Cleveland. I love that most people hate him, but they love to bring up his idea of having a parade last year after the team didn't win a game. But golfer spelled backwards, McNeil, whatever you want to call it, sent me a direct message. He says, man, I listened to the podcast. He goes, it's pretty good stuff, man. He goes, then you had to talk about those funerals. You were all over the place. Gosh. And then I got a text also from my brother-in-law's yesterday. This Panera talk must have just screwed everybody up. My brother-in-law in Chicago, shout out to my brother-in-law, Mike, and Dave live in Chicago. Hopefully I'll see them for Thanksgiving. I always have fun with them. Both texts that supposedly they've been told by people in Chicago that the podcast has been funnier since baseball season ended. So I don't know why exactly that is, but I guess that Panera talk got everybody hyped up and it got everybody ready to go and expected me to be a clown every week.
So I'm glad you brought that up because it reminds me of a stat that came across our text yesterday. And I share the stat not to be a dick, not to revel in it or rub anybody's nose in it, but kind of to show the point of getting mad about it when someone says this. Guys, in Cleveland sports, in the month of October, they won 2 games between 3 teams.
Yeah.
Okay, so that just is what it is. Like, there's been better, obviously. There was a parade for winning not all that long ago. The Indians have had tremendous run over a number of years. The Browns actually won 2 games this year, which is more they'd won in the previous 2 combined. But in the month of October, 3 Cleveland teams won 2 games.
I mean, it's not unprecedented, but it's not the worst, but it's pretty darn close. And I know when you said that, it's like it made me jump, and just go, wow. The Indians part of it,
honestly, my first inclination was that's not right. That's not right. And then I was like, oh, wait, that's exactly right.
But it is. Yeah, it totally makes sense. So the first thing I was going to say, well, the Indians at least weren't scheduled to play any games in October. Those are extra. But everybody else is. It makes for a crazy month. I mean, when you look at what's going on with the Cavaliers and the J.R. Smith situation and how unprepared they were for the month, not only the month of October, the month of basketball season period, is pretty amazing. That's not attacking anybody. That's just the truth that it really looks like they've started an NBA season unprepared for exactly what's coming next. And that was your biggest problem with I almost said that was your biggest problem with Zach Jackson. That was your biggest problem with Hugh Jackson as a coach, not in your mind, not being prepared for what's coming next. And I think the Cavs have played right into that hand. Obviously, the Indians one is tough as well because I think I had a real long text back and forth and I'll say it, with Raj. And it wasn't attacking. It was friends being able to talk. I think a lot of times in this day and age, that with Twitter age, we all get cute, we all get pretty, and we all try to think we're funnier or we're smarter by texting or tweeting people and telling them facts in your mind. And I just had a real conversation with him about the Indians and how everybody lumped last week the Indians together with, well, what a terrible week. Coach is fired. This guy's gone. This guy, suspended, this, and this. And then the Indians didn't put a qualifying offer out for guys. I'm like, wait a minute. And I don't want to be the guy that, because I work around the Indians all year long, that I'm standing up for them. But most of you assholes that are on Twitter going back and forth about qualifying offers don't even know how they work. I get, and it's just what we do. We lump everything together. Cleveland's bad, worst month ever, worst week ever. The Indians have been pretty successful for the last 3 years. And yeah, the overall scheme is you're here to win a championship, and they haven't done that. So they haven't won the main thing. But for all the stuff I read on Twitter from Friday to Saturday about where the Indians are at, because of what Buster Olney said, take a chill pill. They're still going to win the AL Central most likely unless something unbelievable happens. They're probably going to win it in 2020 as well. Can they win a World Series? I don't know. But until you know exactly how a qualifying offer, and I know that it doesn't matter. This is how life works now, and that's why I refuse to tweet about the Indians. You guys have made me. I'm not tweeting about the Indian situation because nothing that was said. And my man, and I'll give my man Munch Bishop credit. He laughed when he was seeing everybody freak out because he was like, if anybody would have heard you come on our show 3 days, I went on this show on Wednesday. And I was like, the Indians are going to have to probably think about moving a starter or somebody just to get their bullpen where they need it because of escalators and contracts and everything else. I'll say this, and I'll leave it baseball alone. The Indians' ownership over the last 2 years has spent more money than they've ever spent before. They've come really close, and it wasn't good enough. In the money game of baseball, if you don't have money like the Yankees, Cubs, Boston Red Sox, LA Dodgers, hell, this World Series is a perfect example of it. It was two highest paid teams in the game. You got to get lucky, and you got to find the right pieces at the right time and hit on everything perfectly. They've come close, but no cigar. But to kill them and lump them together with the and I don't want to use bad words, but just to lump them with what's going on with the Browns and with the Cavs, I just find that to be a lazy opportunity to look for a cute little joke.
Well, they're like the Buckeyes. It's championship or bust. The Browns and the Cavs are in a different stratosphere, as like you said.
I agree.
Right?
I agree. So that's why
I'm not going to argue with anything you said, but as a result of their recent success, when you say they're going to win the Central again, that's like borderline a congrat, right? Because they want more is expected.
Yeah, okay, but are we in the place as a city to just I'm talking to you. I'm glad you said that. A congrat to me is when you're a complete joke and you've made a mockery of yourself. Winning a division, I don't care where it is, where it's at. That's not a complete making a joke. That's not making a joke of yourself.
Fair.
A congrat is when you can't win a game and you can't even put your dog pound sign up right at the beginning of the game. Right. That's like the dog taking a dump on the 50-yard line. That's like J.R. Smith throwing soup on a coach's face. Those are congrat moments. That's like being Tristan Kardashian and trying to be the toughest guy in the world until the East runs through Cleveland while your baby mama got a TV show going on talking about how you cheated at the same time. That's a congrat, Tristan. If I was you, I would lay low and not say a word for the next 3 months. But that's just me.
Speaking of that, 90 East does run through Cleveland. I know that.
Yes.
I'm sure there's a reason for this. I'm not attacking anybody, but off 90-2, they decided to close the ramps to both East 9th and West 3rd in front of the stadium yesterday at about 11:45 in the morning. And that's a problem because that's how you get to the stadium. So,
right.
I park behind. The Browns are gracious enough. They give us awesome parking passes. I'm usually there earlier. I had something to do Sunday morning, so I was later. And it ended up being a long ordeal for me because I couldn't get to where I wanted to get, so I had to go. Then I knew I was going to have to pay to park, so did I even have any cash on me? I didn't think I did, so I was looking for a garage, and then I realized I did. Anyway, I ended up parking in the pit.
So he had to get out of his car and go around and find all the $1 bills that have been thrown around it for the last 6 months to see if he can scrap together $12.
Oh, sure. No, and I did.
That's a congrat move.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
And I did. So anyway, I end up parking in the pit. And I get there and I pull in and, it was like an hour and 40-minute ordeal, right? So
right.
I was kind of exasperated, kind of hungover. And then I hadn't been on my phone, obviously, because I'd been driving for all that time. So I just put the windows down a little bit and before I walked to the stadium and caught up on my texts and just tried to chill out because I got a little wound up at that whole thing for whatever reason.
That's frustrating. It's frustrating.
And I'm telling you, in probably 8 to 12 minutes of sitting in my car, just by myself, observing, and not, no one knowing, the levels of drunk I saw on people in that parking lot. Oh, my Lord. I mean, oh, my Lord. It was an absolute feast for the eyes.
Yeah.
And by the time I got out, I had cooled off, and I was energized by some of the things that I had seen. And I had a nice, calm, casual walk into the stadium. And then I just walked up the ramps, too, and I just kind of soaked in everything. It was an amazing day for football. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in person are truly something. The Browns probably aren't going to win another game. I'm not going to say definitively, but, I mean, guys, a lot of people were saying this was a top 10 defense. It is definitely a top 10 defense in the Midwestern region. That's about it.
Thank you.
The Chiefs did what they want when they wanted. And they're a phenomenal offense. They lead the NFL in scoring, not by accident. But two things stick out about watching that in person. I mean, obviously the throws Mahomes can make, and not just with the arm strength, but some of the angles and some of the keeping plays alive. And you see their screen game developing in person, and it is a thing of beauty, but by design and by timing, things you work on with that. But the receivers, and this includes Kelsey, who lines up as a receiver as much as he lines up in line. They run their routes with such precision and confidence because they know that they're open even when they're not. And then they know that on the plays that they're the third and fourth option. When the defense does its job and takes away the first two options, they know the ball can come their way. I mean, I can think of 3 balls that were dropped by the backups that also would have been big games.
Right. Oh, yeah. Their backup receivers are. Yeah. They are. It's, you know what? I'm glad you brought up and went about this way. Just as a side joke, you mentioned that they may not win another game this year.
Well, I don't know who they beat.
That's a whole other conversation.
I mean, yeah.
That's a bye week conversation because Atlanta going to come up here and carve them up next week too. And they got no defense, and it's going to make some people feel better about where the team is at because their defense is weak. But in reality, don't get caught up in that. Just like Kansas City, they toyed with them defensively. They have no defense. That wasn't a game. Kansas City did whatever they wanted to do, and however they wanted to do it. Bruce Arians, who I love listening to the games when he did yesterday's games. They would try to make it's funny because like the play-by-play guy, and this is nothing against Gumbel, he would try to make a big deal about time of possession. And Bruce goes, it doesn't matter if I can go right up and down the field and score touchdowns. Don't get me on. Like he was right. He was like, yeah, the Browns are winning time of possession, but they don't even know if they can score a touchdown. Kansas City is scoring touchdowns. There's a couple things I want to throw out there. Number one, watching New Orleans and St. Louis after and watching Kansas City, which was my day. As you know, I had the 2 TVs, big screens going at the same time, with the red zone flowing on one and the Browns game flowing on the other. And we say this all the time, but it's so true. When you see the precision of those 3 offenses I just named and how they go about it, and look, they played 2 of them. They played New Orleans relatively close. Whether the New Orleans game's that's a whole conversation for another day. But when you see how those teams go about running offense and how precise everything has to be, and how each receiver has a role and has to be where they're supposed to be, the timing of the screen plays. Offense isn't one of those things that you just throw together in 5 seconds. And God bless this coach that told me this. He's no longer on this earth, and I know this is going to come off. However it comes off, don't take it that way because it wasn't meant this way. I had an old offensive coordinator in high school. I will not say his name. I know the St. V alum that are listening. They all have a high five, and they will all cheers a beer to this. But he always used to yell at us, and I will never forget this. He would always yell at us. He goes, I can get 11 monkeys together to play defense. It takes real men with real hearts and real brains to run an offense the right way. His point was on defense, you can get anybody to say, hey, find the ball, get the ball. He goes, on offense, you need guys that actually have a brain and understand timing and spacing and how to get there and when to get there. And it was a running joke before we did one-on-ones, before we did 7-on-7s or 11-on-11s in practice. He would always go, he goes, get the dumb monkeys over there because it's time for us to kick your ass. And and it would hype up our offense constantly. And our defensive players would get hyped up because they would go, okay, keep calling us that and see how we mess up your running back or mess up. And I think that when you see that, that shows you how far the Browns offense has to go. And I hate taking this hit, but I'm going to take this hit. But it also shows you how unaware the Browns front office and ownership was in trying to put an offense together the way they did this year and last year.
One of the big things to me with keeping Hugh is you knew it wasn't going to work. So now you're taking a guy at number 1 overall and finally saying after 30 years, this is our guy, and you're going to change offenses after year 1. Right? It's just counterproductive from the start.
That's been my point, and that's been my point the whole time about this whole situation that bothered me so much, that this is another wasted year. No matter, okay, Baker looked better yesterday, but it's all relative. Like, I'm still not sold completely. Like, okay, they dumped the ball a lot. Like, we can give Freddie Kitchens credit for that, and we can give the offense credit for that, because this is just as much has to do with bringing in Todd Haley too, Zach. Like, if you know that you have a coach that's probably not going to make it that long, and we all knew that, you don't bring Todd Haley in, who runs an offense that's not predicated to do what this kid can do best. Like, it's all been bad decisions offensively in trying to build one. All right, he dumped the ball off a lot. Look, that played into Kansas City's defense. Kansas City played deep cover too. They just basically took Landry out. Like, that's what they do. They want you to take forever on offense. They want you to take 15 plays to go 80 yards because they know, Bob Sutton, their defensive coordinator, knows if they get you in third and long enough times, he'll dial up a couple blitzes and he'll get you off the field. Their offense will go back on the field and you're down 14-0. So did Baker play better, and was the offense better oriented? Did they ran Chubb more? Awesome. I'm not I don't want to be super negative, but I'm not going to sit here and throw a parade for them doing the basics against a defense that basically wants you to do the basics. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah. I mean, 3 yards in a cloud of dust is Jim France football and Jarvis Landry football. And you're right. And the Chiefs just play. Yeah, I mean, a lot of those were dump-offs, no doubt. They did take some shots down the field.
And he did a good job with it.
They had limited success. I thought Njoku finally made a couple of tough catches. They tried. Look, the offense was better. I mean, that's what I kind of wrote. It's like, look, this is the state of things. You scored 3 touchdowns. That's improvement. That hasn't happened in half the games. So you take that. Like you mentioned, the time of possession before. I mean, the Chiefs just do it. Yes, their defense is not great, and it's clearly the weaker area of their team, and there's no hiding that yards per attempt, but also the overall defensive numbers are skewed because their defense is always on the field because they score touchdowns. Right. So that defense's goal is to say, we're going to take some chances sometimes and we're going to concentrate on red zone at other times, because if you only get 3 on us, or if you have to work, if we just make you work for everything you get, we're going to sit back because we are going to outscore. We're getting over 35, and we just think by playing this way that you don't have any chance. And we all know, the game ends on 16. The Browns had a nice drive there early to middle of the fourth quarter when he ended up throwing a pick. Even if they score there, and even if they get the 2, what happens? The Chiefs go down and score again, and it's over.
They go and score. Yeah. Right. Well, and I'll say this to you: the jury's still out on the tight end, and I don't have to learn to say his name right because he doesn't deserve. He just, for all the talent that he has and the body that he has, it just doesn't all align and add up, Zach. He's hard to watch play tight end. He's hard to play because he should be he has I got to say this the right way. Kelsey is the prototype for offenses run in 2018. I think we'd agree with that. Yes? He has all the ability Kelsey has, but he has no way of putting it all together. If you put them, and I'm doing this blindly. I'm saying this blindly, and I know somebody won't like it. If you send Kelsey and Njoku to the combine right now, and you had him do all the combine stuff, I bet you the guy that puts the orange helmet on will probably have better numbers. I'll take Kelsey every day of the week.
Well, sure. I mean,
he just is so inconsistent in not just catching the ball and blocking and running patterns and understanding the offense. He is a frustrating player to watch.
This is not hyperbole. He's like a lot of the guys that now have to play on defense because they're so banged up. He should really think about going pro in something other than sports. He really should, because he's not a football player.
Wow.
He is a specimen.
Wow. You're right.
He's not a football player. I mean, he's just...
True that.
In 2 years from now, when he's still only 24, there'll be reasons to say, well, that potential, because there are certain routes where if he's going to catch the ball, he's uncoverable. The problem is there are 66 other plays in a game, right? There's a whole lot more that goes in to being a guy that you're off, not just can play because he has the talent to play, but your offense can rely on. You have to do those things. And he's not that. He's never been that. He was a part-time player in college. He was an athletic freak. He came out early. And for all of that other stuff, too, like these draft picks that were so precious, they traded the first pick of Friday and Saturday to move up and get the guy, and he's not a football player.
Right.
It's bad.
Right. And those are the kind of guys that can get you in trouble going forward. And I think the general manager knows that. And look, you don't dump them. But like I said, I just don't know. And this is not to attack him.
You don't dump him.
But this.
Yeah.
No, this is
you don't dump him, and you need playmakers, and you can visualize him in that role. I mean, I think Kelce is the perfect explanation for what you would like him to be, right? It seems absurd to do that. And Kelce, to me, has emerged as the game's premier tight end. There's guys who obviously have better numbers who've been doing it longer. But I mean, in terms of size, speed, radius, matchups, different things you can do, I don't think there's anyone. I think he's in his own league, right? Zach Ertz catches a ton of balls. Kyle Rudolph blocks his ass off. Gronk is Gronk. He's a part-time player at this stage of his career. I mean, nobody.
Yes, he is.
I mean, this is prime Jimmy Graham, probably faster, right?
Faster. Yeah. And it's, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. Watching Jimmy Graham's hard to watch right now because he doesn't have the athletic ability he used to. He didn't have a ton, but he just doesn't have that, you know what I mean, that next step anymore. But he's still 6'5", 6'7", and can just moss guys, which is unbelievable. And like you just got to find a role for that kid. And I don't know what the role is because he's so inconsistent. And that's the messed up part, Zach, is that I'm not saying he's not the starter. I'm not saying that there's packages for him, but when you're inconsistent with your hands, that is a hard job to do. And by the way, all the Browns players that like to go out to the Barley House where I'll be on Saturday and Zach will be on Saturday for the Reconnect Foundation organization for their yearly event, Travis Kelce owns the Barley House. When you guys want to go there, you guys sit outside his VIP table.
Okay, anyway, I do want to talk about two-point conversions.
That went right over your head. And it's so funny to people that get what I was saying.
I do want to talk about two-point conversions, and not necessarily yesterday. I don't have a good answer. I don't have a take. I understand what they were doing. The first one was a 5-point situation. It was early in the game. They're trying to get Baker some confidence, and against the Chiefs, every point counts. So I don't mind the theory. I think if there was any chance that game was going to come down to a couple points, we would be sitting and nitpicking it, right? But this goes back to the Monday night game 3 or 4 weeks ago when the Giants scored to go from 14 to 8 and went to 2 there. And I said, I can't believe they went for 2. And immediately, everybody came out of the woodwork and said, #well, actually, when you go for 2 in that spot and you get it, it increases your win percentage from 52 to 58 or whatever. And I get that. I'm sure that is well backed up data. I am not going to sit here and argue math with any of you. But guys, when you go for it and you don't get it, the percentage is there too. And now you're down 8 instead of 7, and it's a completely different ball game. So I just want to say this, okay? When I go to Swenson's, there's an 87% chance I can drive there without getting in a wreck, right? But if I don't get there, if that 13% comes into play and I can't get my Swenson's, then I'm grumpy and then my whole week's screwed, right? So I just want to sum that up by saying I like the aggression, and especially early in games. This is the highest scoring year in league history. I think you can gain confidence, potentially gain points, and get your players engaged by doing it. But I just think also it's not as simple as saying the numbers say this, because as the game goes on, there are consequences to missing. And as we've seen, it's not a gimme. I mean, if this was a 65% or over conversion rate on 2-point plays, then everybody would do it. But it's not. You have to earn it, and there's consequences when you don't.
But it is for some teams. I think I hate this conversation. Nothing against anything you said. I respect it. I do. I'm so sick of this conversation, though, because it's right up there with bunting. Every situation and every team is different. We cannot compare every situation and bring numbers into it. If a team needs to have some energy drilled into it If a team needs the confidence given into it because the coach is fired, because they're playing a team that's better than them, or because the team wants to show domination, then you use it. If your team offensively in baseball, it knows that a certain pitcher's on the mound, and no matter what the numbers stay, your hitters may not be comfortable against them, and you want to get a quick run early, and you bunt guys over, then you do it because you do what's best for your team at the moment. And some teams, you can't sit there and manage a team or coach a football team and worry about if it fails. If you coach or live life worried about failing, you know what you do? You fail. Every situation is completely different. I like it. I'm glad that more coaches are willing to go for two. I know it's not what any of us grew up on. That's why it's new to us. And I think because it's new to us, everyone has their opinion. Everyone has played Madden for half their life or most of their life, and they thought they were the smartest kid ever if they could go up 16-0 or get up 24-0 on 3 touchdowns and 3 2-point conversions. The point of it is this. Here's my issue with the Cleveland Browns going for two, and my only issue, because I don't have a problem with it. I don't care if they go for two the rest of the season. Hell, I think they should with where they are offensively because that would gain something. Here's my thing. The great teams that go for two, they have plays. They have probably 5 plays in their back pocket that they practice. Now, this goes back to the doctorate or going to high school in your offense, and that's where the Browns are behind the 8 ball with this. The good teams have 5 to 10 plays that they've practiced since April that they go to when they want to get 2 points scored. It's simple. It doesn't take a long time to get them in. They have plays that they go to that says who they are when they need to go for two, whether it's going, 3 running backs, whether it's going 3 tight ends, whether it's going empty and quarterbacks. The Browns don't have an identity play to go to. So therefore they look, whether it was under Hugh or whether it was Freddie Kitchens yesterday or Todd Haley, they look confused and out of sorts when they go for two. Good teams don't look like that. When the Saints want to go for two, Drew Brees looks over and 3 things, 2 hands are put up. They put in their formation. Boom, they run a play. Looks good. Same with New England. Same with Kansas City. I can go to like 10 teams, the Rams, the Steelers, not Baltimore because Joe Flacco is real bad. It's time for him to go away. And I got to stop talking about Joe Flacco on this podcast. I'm sick of all these battles about going for two. You're 3 yards away. You're an NFL team. It shouldn't be that hard. And to be honest with you, it shouldn't take some math to tell you the percentages of going for two, Zach. If you can't get 2.5, 3 yards, 3 out of 4 times, then you don't belong in the NFL, to be completely honest. It's 3 stinking yards. Why do you think the Steelers are good at it? You and I have had this conversation because they practice goal line from the first time they put the pads on all the way through the year. You don't think that makes a difference? And when they got to do 2-point plays, same thing with New England, same thing with the good teams. I think we're going to see more of it. I just think it's a wasted conversation and more reason why Twitter sucks from 1 to 4 o'clock in Northeast Ohio.
The other guys drive nice cars too, so it's not as easy. It's not as
no
easy.
No doubt. But once again, in offense, but it does. Okay. If you want to give me I'll go nerdy on you. What's the average amount of yards gained per play in the NFL?
It's certainly over 2. That's for sure.
Thank you. And they all get paid.
But you know as well as I do that when you get in inside the 20, let alone inside the 5, that everything changes. You only have a certain amount of plays.
Absolutely. But that makes my point. Every good team, there's still ways to do it. There's rubs, there's picks, there are plays, and I think it's a mindset, Zach. It's a mindset. And I'm not going against you, but it's a mindset. On day 1 of your offense, when you get together, dang right, we're going to get 2 yards when we need to get 2 yards. And here's how we're going to do it, and here's how we're going to go about it. That doesn't mean you're going to get it every single time, but it's your mindset in life. Like you don't worry about when you go to Swenson's. You know you're going to get what you want to get. They're going to have the shake that you want. They're going to have the onion rings that you want, and you're going to walk away fat and bloated, but you're going to be happy about it. You're going to be happy about it, even if you don't get your normal order. Like when my dad tries to change it up during Lent and get fish dinners, and I look at him and go, "Are you out of your mind?" He still walks away, eats the applesauce. Eats the fish, and he's happy because Swenson takes care of us. I've had it up to here with the 2-point talk. It's 2 yards, and if they had 3, if they were successful with it, we would never talk about it, right?
Well, that's my whole thing.
I don't care the situation.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's great.
I know
it's great when you get it. But you can't act like there aren't consequences to not getting it.
Okay, there's small consequences, but all right. Tell me this, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't hear people every Monday talk about a team lost because they went for 2. I haven't seen that conversation going very often.
No, I just want to point out
happened.
that is as absurd as thinking that there's just this magic formula that you can go for it and you win. I mean, if the Giants end up losing that game where I talked the specific situation by 1 or 2 points because they missed 2 instead of kicking 2 and sending it to overtime, then the coach should be fired. Now, their coach should be fired anyway. I mean, he's one of the worst head coaches in NFL history. I'm just saying you can't say because this is 54% right that we should do it.
But see, But here, this is where I disagree. No coach should be fired for coaching for a field. That's part of the problem we have now with coaches. We don't want any coach to have an identity, to have any personality. You have to just go by the books. And the only reason these coaches are, and I'll say this, the only reason these coaches are going for 2 is because there's nerds now telling them to do it that are telling them the percentages. Forget that. I want a coach that has a feel for the game, a feel for his team. And if you have a feeling that your team needs something, that's why they hire him and pay him the money that they pay them. That's what this is what drives me crazy. And and the teams, and I've said this about the Browns for years, but it's every team, it's every league. We've allowed the peanut gallery to bitch and moan and to make decisions for your teams because we don't like certain things. It's like you can't have it both ways. And I'm talking about pro leagues, period. You want to have social media, you want to be cute on it, you want to be pretty, you want to engage fans, you want to show them pictures. But lo and behold, you can't take it when the fans attack and tell you how stupid your coach is, or tell you how dumb your uniforms are, or tell you how dumb your post is, and then you worry about it because there's human beings running it.
Well, speaking of that,
yeah.
You know when I knew yesterday that the Browns weren't going to win another game? It had nothing to do with Pat Mahomes or Travis Kelce. It's when I looked on the morning and I saw the Browns Twitter account making a big deal over Shard Higgins wearing his Mighty Ducks sweater to the game. I was like, this is the state of this organization. Okay, they're going to be going to be 2-13-1. All right, I know we're up against it time-wise. I have some thoughts that I want to share on some various things. I'm going to rattle them off here relatively quickly. One, as far as the Browns coaching search, guys, if you have a candidate in mind, he is a candidate. It is wide open. It is 2 months away, possibly more from being able to make a hire, possibly 2 months away from being able to interview. If you think the Browns should investigate Lincoln Riley and Matt Campbell, you're right. If you think Josh McDaniels is by far the best candidate based on what he's done, you're right. Do they want him? We don't know. We won't know. So Eric Bieniemy,
Mr. Red Flag himself.
Eric Bieniemy, Dave Toub, absolutely. The college coaches, you're entitled to your feeling. The Browns have some time here to get together with Dorsey and who he trusts and lay out what they want, the most important things. They have time to find those guys, and then you find out who meshes. So it's really, really, really too early to get upset or say he's not a candidate because, frankly, a lot of guys fit right now. A lot of guys make sense on some level, and ultimately just take solace knowing that Dorsey's going to lead this thing. And we'll see what happens, and then he and that coach will really be on the clock. Michael Thomas, man, I kind of want him off my lawn. It was pretty cool. He bought the flip phones at a liquor store. He drummed up something from the past. The timing of it, a little bit questionable, trying to win that game, taking the penalty.
Very questionable.
But pretty funny stunt.
I love it.
Not much originality. Something I do want off my lawn.
Whoa. How did you say not much originality? How's that not original?
No.
The throwback.
No. I kind of cut myself off there. That is so much else of what we see isn't. So that stands out.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. I was all right.
Yes.
And shout out to Josh Egner, our guy. I tweeted out very as soon as it happened. Thomas was going Joe Horn, and he said to me, "How about this? Drew Brees threw touchdowns to both of them." Think about that for your throwback and originality and
that
everything
is
else.
Pretty.
Isn't that unbelievable? Isn't that cool? And
that is
shout
wild.
out to you may know it. He writes for the Picayune down in New Orleans. Duncan, is it not Curtis Duncan? Doesn't matter. His last name's Duncan. I'll retweet it. He actually found Joe Horn last night and interviewed Joe Horn.
I thought that was brilliant. Job. Yes.
It was brilliant. And Joe Horn said he immediately went to his computer and bought a Michael Thomas jersey. That's what this league is. That's what sports is about.
Yes.
That was really cool. Great job by that writer. I'm sorry that I'm missing his name right now. I apologize. I will tweet the story out. But that is where that's where great writers can shine. He told the story and then gave something extra to it, and I love when those situations happen. Go, you got one more thing before I cut you off, then I got one thing and we can roll.
Yeah, so I do want these group photo celebrations off my lawn. Again, I like the originality of it, and especially when it's truly spontaneous. However, the originality is wearing off. They're not doing it spontaneously, and this is where it comes down to time and situation. Like, if you are dominating a game and you just caused your fourth turnover and your defense either scored on it to put the game away or you just sealed the game, then please pose all you want. You've earned it. I think the NFL should take away almost all celebration penalties. I think that's no fun and it's bullshit, and I'm for that. However, when I see under 500 teams celebrating a simple fumble recovery in the second quarter with a fucking family picture, I want everybody off my lawn immediately.
I can't. I want to disagree with you, but I can't. I'm being honest. I want to disagree with you.
It's just what you said. It's about feel, right? It's like,
right.
if we just put this game away and we just got a big road win, let's pose. Let's let everybody in this stadium hate us. But man, we're losing 10-6. We're 3-5, and we just recovered a fumble, and 6 of us laid down for the cameras. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's weak. It's weak. Another thing is, and I always say, the highest form of flattery is imitation. And the New Orleans Saints started that last year. No one was doing that. I love that Michael Thomas is imitating Joe Horn. I don't love that the rest of the league is imitating the Saints. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Hey, this Saturday, the Rec to Connect Foundation presents its 4th annual celebrity bartending event sponsored by Beyond Words Music and Dance Center and State Optical. It's from 6 to 9. Tickets are $45 pre-sale on Eventbrite, $55 at the door. That includes drinks and heavy appetizers during the event, including wonderful food from Panera that all kinds will love and like and enjoy. If we've already have some auction items online, if you would like. The auction items, and they're really cool, and they're already and they're going to basically be online until 8:30 Saturday. This is for people that are out of town. This is for people that can't come to the event, but you want some of these auction items that they have that they'll be able to give out this weekend. I know that the Corey Kluber signed cleats from a game and bobblehead sign is up there already and online, and it's been bid on. I want to say the first bid started at like $500. If you just look at retail and you look at what shoes signed by Corey Kluber in a game go for, I've seen them all the way up to $25 to almost $3,000. So for it to start at $500 and you're into memorabilia and things of that nature, they put it online. So you have a week, less than a week now, to try to get those shoes, but we'll give those out on Saturday. There's also a whiskey tour of Cleveland that you can get online. Shout out to Alex Moneypenny, longtime guy that's been a part of Zach and I's life as well. There's also a Disney park where you can go to Disney for $5, which if anybody knows what it's like with kids, that's expensive. I told you last week, and this is still up there, the LASIK Clear Choice Custom LASIK Center. $1,200 is basically where it's at, but you can get LASIK eye surgery. All you got to do is bid on it. It's up on the thing. There's a snowblower as well, and a Lindor signed home run from the moment where he hit the grand slam earlier this year, the walk-off grand slam. We have a bat, a signed card from that moment. I'm pretty sure that's going to be one of those things that could go pretty well. If you're a football fan, we've got a J.C. Treader signed football, brand new Roberto Perez, Yonder Alonso game-worn jersey signed by both of them. Clevenger cleat. There's all kinds of stuff. Tickets to the Rubber Ducks. We have the ultimate sports fan package. This is the last thing I'll give you guys. There's so much more, but these are the things you can get. But listen to this, because I think this is pretty cool. You can get 4 tickets to a Monster game, 2 tickets to a Cavs game, 5 sets of 4 tickets to Rubber Ducks games, and 4 tickets to the MAC championship games in basketball, football, baseball, and softball. That all comes together as a package that you can get this weekend at the silent auction. You get a foursome to Little Mountain Golf with a Little Mountain golf course and a cart. You can get a foursome to Stonewater Golf Course and a cart. All those things, and that's just a little bit of what's there. And from the last time I heard, I believe A to Z and its whole pack will be there on Saturday. Sarah Shookman will be bartending. First off, she's hitting lead off at 6 o'clock with Jim Rosenhaus. I have that marked down. If you are a fan of the short haircut and the blonde hair, be there right at 6 o'clock. Sarah will be there dropping drinks for you. And a little bit later this week, I should know Gerard Cherry will be there as well. He'll show up with his he'll show up and show out. He'll have his Super Bowl rings. It's gonna be a great Saturday night. So I got Raj coming. I think Pete will be there. That's the thing. That might be the first event in a long time that the best setup, the best chain message in America will all be in the same room at the same time.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, all those auction items are nice, but if you're a local drunk, you get to drink with us. So that's why you should come out. It's always a good night. It's always a good time. great chuckles to be had, and I'm looking forward to that again. So,
did I say once again, Panera is a great place to go to for a family for dinner, lunch?
I'll show up with Panera on my shirt as I usually do.
You're not gonna wear your Halloween costume?
I don't think so. I don't know. I haven't really gotten to the wardrobe stage yet, but we'll see. We'll see.
I thought you're pretty good at that. You're pretty good at your little Halloween costumes, and I won't tell people half the ones you've worn over the last few years because you might get hate mail. But I saw some other college kids were white clawing it up, so you weren't ahead of the curve as I thought. The college kids were up on you too this year.
Yeah, I mean, I like to keep some young people around, keep me hip, keep things fresh.
Yeah.
We'll
Tell
see.
me about it.
It's Monday.
So
we thank you for listening.
No more wins. Yeah.
What's that?
No more wins, huh? No more wins for the Brownies.
I mean, look, they could win a shootout this week if the offense, takes another step. The Bengals have a bad defense, but the Bengals are going to need those games. Those tackles blocking the Broncos' defensive ends, even though the Broncos are awful. I mean, there's a chance they can win. But come on.
The Broncos game, they got a chance. Yeah. No, they're not. They're probably not.
Yeah.
They're probably not.
I mean,
but, we'll see. We'll see. It was a good podcast. You guys have fun. Konnichiwa to all out there. We'll be back later in the week. Hopefully we got a couple of things set up. We got to get it set up. It's a big week, though, as I'm trying to help the foundation get everything set up. And hopefully in the next 24 hours or by the time this podcast comes out, I'll give you two more big names that could be there pouring their drinks that'll be bigger than Sarah Shookman, and Ashley Collins and Zach Jackson and Andre Knott. So hopefully I'll have that in the next 20 minutes to an hour.
My last thought, college basketball, Tuesday night. I know most of you are looking forward to next Tuesday when the Greensburg Bobcats take the floor for the first time, but this Tuesday, the Champions Classic, Kansas and Kentucky, Cavs fan or not, get there. It's going to be big-time stuff. He's Andre. I'm Zach. We'll see you next time on A to Z.
Love you, J.R. Smith.